Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure to like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are 2 days away from Election Day in Virginia and New Jersey and technically a few other races scattered around the country like the New York City mayoral race. A couple of House special elections in the state of Ohio as well will be taking place. And I will be dropping my final predictions for then tomorrow. But today I wanted to take some time out to essentially go over some final takeaways of the early voting and to kind of show what we have to watch for on election night as well, looking at things like counties in Virginia. What are the targets? What could we see? What won't be enough? We're going to take a look at this. But finally, we have the final early vote total in Virginia. There will be some mail-in ballots that may trickle in, but they're not going to be a significant number between now and Election Day, and we see that they just barely hit 1 million total. 1 million total. Those are not all Democrat votes, but Democrats do have a lead within them. Some expect that that lead is roughly around 200,000 votes, which can easily be made up on Election Day. If they really are anticipating turnout to be like 3 million total at the end of the day in this race, that means that close to 2 million people will be voting on Election Day, and those voters, if they swing Republican any more than like, I guess you would say 55 to 45, which they will, then Youngkin is going to be the next governor of Virginia. And the margin needed may not even be that high. And we look at this, and there's several maps of the early vote that are very interesting that I wanted to show. The first one is this. Democrats are very happy that the early vote in the mail-in vote in Arlington is super high. But when we look at the precinct map, we know that the lowest turnout precinct in Arlington is the most Democratic precinct in the entire county. The highest turnout precinct is the most Republican precinct in this map, which has turned out at 43%. And a lot of that vote is in-person early voting, which is not really expected to favor one side or the other a whole lot, but if Republicans have really been making use of that, and Democrats haven't been utilizing the mail-in system, even at the rate they did in 2020, it shows that Republicans are energized, their energy is supercharged. Democrats are being lazy, they're being lethargic, they have electoral fatigue, and McAuliffe is just so uninspiring and awful to the point where he's not able to turn out the base that he needs to turn out to win. And he might say, oh, well, they could turn out on Election Day. Well, where's the proof that they're going to do that? Where is the proof? Because they could, just like Florida, Democrats said, oh, we'll get some turnout on Election Day. Well, it wasn't nearly enough, and Republicans shocked the world and outperformed the polls by 4 points. And it's possible Youngkin could do the same. Not saying he's going to. I think that Youngkin is favored. I would say right now it's about 65-35 or 2-1 Youngkin. McAuliffe still can win, but Republicans, if they turn out in any decent capacity, Youngkin should get the victory. But like I say, pretend Youngkin is down 1 and go to the polls and take everybody you need with you, because victory is far from guaranteed. And make sure you get out and vote, period, no matter really where you are. There's going to be elections, local elections all across the country, so get out and vote. And that's the first map that's interesting. And another map I wanted to show you guys right here, you can see is the county map for in-person early voting and mail-in voting. And you could look at the total overall turnout. Now, looking at the in-person early vote turnout so far, Norfolk is in the bottom 5. Norfolk is a Democrat area. You have some Republican counties that are in the bottom 5, but these counties typically have had a massive surge of turnout on Election Day. At least they did in the 2020 election. You look at the top 5, you have some Republican areas in there as well. You have some Democrat, more liberal areas. I mean, Falls Church is in there. But who's turning out in these counties? If you look at the Arlington map, it seems like Republicans, they could end up pulling a Miami-Dade in parts of Nova. I'm not saying this is going to be a trend that's going to continue into 2024, but for this election, you may see a complete and total reversal in some of these places like Loudoun County, Fairfax County. If Youngkin breaks 40 in Fairfax, and if he wins Loudoun, it's going to be a very, very difficult night for Democrats, and we see this. But when you look at the overall total turnout here, you can see that in the top 5, it's almost all Republican areas. If you look at this, The bottom 5 is a little bit of a mixed bag. There are some Democrat areas and Republican areas in there, but you would expect the top 5 to be all like Democrat strongholds in Nova, and you don't see it. I mean, you see like Goochland, which I didn't even think was a real place until today. Goochland is actually one of the highest turnout areas, and you could see that here. When you look on the county map, if you want to sort by county and you go all the way down to Goochland, you could see Trump won Goochland by 19 percentage points. And right there, you see that Goochland is in the top 5. New Kent and Giles. Giles was won by 51 points for Donald Trump. Giles is super energized. You want to look at Highland. Highland was won by Trump by 44 points. And if you look at Matthews County, Matthews right there, Trump won it by 36 points. This is incredible when you look at this and what you see. I mean, nobody was really expecting to see this, but we're seeing it right now when you look at who is supercharged in the early vote turnout in total. New Kent County is actually number 1. And when you look at New Kent County, that is a county Trump won by 35. So like I said, it checks out. And it is true that some of the bottom 5 are Republican areas as well, most likely to turn out on election day. But you look at places like Newport News and Norfolk, those are both heavily Democrat areas. So Democrats are in a bit of trouble. They really are. And the mail-in turnout is higher in Republican counties in some places than it is in Fairfax County, than it is in Arlington, than it is in a lot of these places up in Northern Virginia right next to D.C. That could be a major problem for Democrats in Virginia. And this is the final tally. When you look at this, the final tally, percentage of 2017, obviously 2017 didn't have that early vote system or a mail-in system compared to what we have now, and it helped Democrats out in 2020. Republicans trying to use their own tactic against them by swarming the election booth in terms of in-person early voting, and we need everybody else to swarm the polls on election day. We need every Republican to get out and vote. But you look and you see a lot of these counties that are 800 plus, those are all Republican areas for the most part. Virginia Beach flipped to Joe Biden in 2020. Virginia Beach is the home of Youngkin. So it seems like he'll probably flip that back, and he might do so by 15 to 20 points, maybe not that high. But if he's going to win statewide, it is very possible. But you look at where there's a lot of bleeding and support. You see a massive dive in Fairfax. You see Arlington. There's a dive, and you see Republican areas are the ones that are turning out. I mean, we see this here. And a lot of the Republican areas that are in red, or in the case of Buchanan County in orange, I mean, those counties have seen not only population loss since then, but also you will likely see a massive surge to the polls on election day. So you look at these 3 maps, and they show that Republicans are in good place in the state of Virginia. Now, I don't care that it shows that Republicans are in good place. You need to get out and vote. You need to take this with a grain of salt because it is early vote. We don't know who is voting. But Republicans probably are in the driver's seat right now, headed for victory. We just got to get people to turn out on election day. And I know there's going to be polls that might drop tomorrow, and you might see a McAuliffe +5 or +6 poll because that's what a lot of pollsters will do. They'll put a push poll out the day before the election, or 2 days before the election. And you may see a Youngkin +6 poll before the election, because pollsters bank on these things to increase their credibility sometimes. So I take any poll you see tomorrow with a grain of salt. I look at the aggregate, which either way is going to be a dead heat. Republicans have the energy factor. When they do, they typically overperform the polls in Virginia, which is a good sign, so keep that in mind. Also, what else to watch? Again, Nova, like I said, watch Nova, watch rural turnout as well. Arlington, Fairfax, is Youngkin doing better with Hispanics? Are black voters unenthused in this state? These are all things we have to watch. But also, we want to check in on New Jersey, because I haven't forgot about New Jersey. It's under the radar. There were some polls that had it close. There were some polls that didn't have it close. Thankfully, New Jersey does track by party, so we can see who's voted by party. And currently, the early vote turnout, not super high. Democrats have a lead of around 200,000. Could Republicans potentially overcome that? I mean, it's possible, but the recent polls make me not super confident. I'll give my prediction tomorrow, but either way, go vote. It's not impossible. If Youngkin shocks the world, turnout's high, and he wins by anything close to what the Fox News poll said he was going to win by, it's possible Murphy goes down. It's just New Jersey is New Jersey. I mean, at least Virginia has had people that have voted Republican in the presidential level since 1988, right? And we know this. So it all comes down to turnout for either race. What I will say for New Jersey, watch 2 areas in New Jersey, because there are going to be silver linings no matter what. I mean, if Murphy wins by like less than 6 or 7, which is very possible, that's a good night for Republicans in the state. And definitely watch the margins in Hudson County, Essex County. Watch the Hispanic vote. Also watch Ocean County. Watch the white working class vote. Is that coming out strong? Because that's going to have implications for 2022. And I think we have to understand that either way, these races are going to be much closer than they should have been. If you told the Democrats that they would not be favored going into election night in Virginia, and that there was like a 25% chance they might lose New Jersey, they would literally just laugh at you. But that's objectively where we are right now. Not saying they can't win, but they could, which is why you got to get out and vote. But I will say that Republicans have been doing a great job in the 2021 election cycle, especially with messaging, staying on message, and hopefully they can carry that momentum to 2022. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Go Youngkin, Red Eagle, out.